Hey everyone, it's Dr. Nelson, and today we are going to cover some front rack position. And so a couple different kind of arc type positions or things that you have to be able to do before you can get into a true front rack position. The first one we'll test is actually just elbow flexion. So can you take your elbow and touch your shoulder? And if you can't do that, it's hard to get into that front rack position. You need to work on some elbow mobility. The other position that I see a lot is wrist extension. And so for this, you should be able to extend your wrist about 90 degrees. If you need a little help to do that passively, that's okay too, because the weight of the bar should help with that. So those are the two big precursors to see. So let's say first that I don't have that elbow extension. Here are a couple tips that you can do to work on elbow flexion, So we're gonna take a foam roller, and basically what you'll do, and another thing that I've used with this is actually the barbell that you can use in a squat rack and kind of roll that tricep in the back. So what I'll do is kind of lay on my side, and if I wanna lay either completely on my side and just work through tricep here, or I can actually go face down and same idea. And I'm just scanning through my tricep, trying to feel any tension, tight spots through that area. I can actually actively flex through as well. So if I want to bend my elbow, that's another variation that I can do. So I'm scanning, trying to find those tight spots, looking for anything that feels tense or tight, spending about 30 seconds on each spot, up to 2 minutes, and really working to try to loosen the tissue up. And then right after that, I'll actually go into a stretch. And so one of the ones that I like to do for that is just wrapping a band, or you can grab, if you have anything kind of laying around, you can grab a hold of. But the band's nice because you can wrap your arm around. And then basically I'm just going to work on walking into that extended or that flex position. So I'm trying to bend my elbow as much as I can, keeping my shoulder pretty straight, and then just working on trying to get more elbow flexion. I'll hold that for about 2 minutes, and then you can retest and kind of see if you got a little bit more motion afterwards. The second part is, again, that wrist extension. So a couple different things with this. One, sometimes I'll just use my thumb and I'll press through. So all the wrist flexors run through the front of my forearm. And so I can actually press and then just stretch over top of that. And that's a way that we can loosen up some of that tissue. I've also used just a lacrosse ball that you can kind of press into those tissues as well. We're trying to loosen up those wrist flexors. And then what I'll do is go back to that rack again, or go back to that band again. And I can take my wrist, and there's a couple different ways to do this. So one, if I work on my extension from the side, and then basically just kind of rock my wrist back, or I can keep my wrist extended here and then work on, again, flexing back. If I'm doing this, again, I'll hold this one for a lot longer. So I like anywhere between 1.5 to 2 minutes, really working on that extension. If I start to feel any weird sensation in my hand goes numb, anything like that, I'm going to back off. But I'm just going to hold that, trying to kind of work on mobilizing that wrist. If the band is a little bit too much, I can also work on extending through with no band. So either one of those should work pretty well. So that'll help with elbow flexion and wrist extension. Hope that helps with the front rack position, and check out our other videos.